This little goober?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's where morals come from. Right there. So that's like people want to say, yeah, it's my standard, what I think. It's like, well, tell that to Jeffrey Dahmer or John Wayne Gacy or Ted Bundy or Charles Manson or Adolf Hitler or Joseph Stalin, because they were God in their minds. They thought it was okay to murder people, to cannibalize people, to put their body parts in their fridge. So who are you or I to say that they're wrong? Unless you have a standard beyond yourself to say they're wrong. God says that's wrong. But apart from God, what standard do you use to say any of that was wrong? Right? It's, people on this campus would probably say unequivocally, yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer, John Wayne Gacy. Here in the Kansas City area, there was a butcher, Robert Burdella, in the 80s. He butchered 6 or 7 people. Some of them were homosexuals. I'm not sure about all of them, but he butchered them. He ripped their body. He tortured them to death, cut their bodies into parts, and put their bodies in the trash. Just threw them in the trash. Have their body parts collected on trash day. And right here in Kansas City, back in the 80s. Who's to say what he did was wrong? Well, God says it was wrong, because God says you shall not murder. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. That love does no harm to a neighbor. God says it's wrong. Now, if you appeal to a different standard, it's what's that standard and what authority is that standard, Like, just someone saying, oh, it's wrong. Says who? And, oh, it's just my opinion. Well, Robert Burdell thought it was okay. John Wayne Gacy thought it was okay, so who's to say that they're wrong, right? But that's what you have with moral relativism. Everyone thinks everyone thinks they're right in their own eyes. Again, there was no king in Israel. Everyone did what was right in his own eyes. Like it says the last verse in the book of Judges. So that's how you have a serial killer run rampant and do what they want to do. Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker in Los Angeles, he did what he wanted to do. He was a Satanist. Who's to say what he did was wrong? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
And so it's
important to note that when they interviewed these people after they got arrested, right? They didn't. They knew it was wrong. I mean, there's
all of them?
Hours and hours. Pretty well. There's hours and hours, and there's few cases where there was mental illnesses, sociopathy, psychopathy, and those are real issues that you address differently beyond God, beyond religion. It's about therapy and everything. But they interviewed Dahmer for hours, obviously.
What's that?
They interviewed Dahmer.
Yeah, and Ted Bundy.
A lot.
Yeah, Dahmer, Bundy. There's so much.
I think Dahmer became a Christian in prison before he was beaten to death.
Did he?
As far from my understanding.
I heard he grew up in a fairly religious household on his own, but he went on and he was like, I know what I did was wrong. Dahmer, in a specific case, his was sex for him. That was what he wanted, right? He got into porn too early, and then it got
to where it wasn't enough, right?
Yeah, exactly. It got to where it wasn't enough, so he had to pursue these things. But here's what's important here is that these people aren't just born and they decide, I want to eat people. That's not what it is.
Not right away.
What?
It's not right away. They're evil from the time they're in the womb, but it is a progression that leads to that. Because not one of us is good, right?
I do have to actually go.
Yeah.
So,
well, we talked for a while, Jaden. I appreciate the conversation.
Yeah,
of course. It's a lot to think about.
If you're ever back on campus, I'll try to stop by and talk or something.
Yeah. Thanks for the respectful dialogue, Jaden.
I'm down to talk about that part, but I was just thinking, I was in my class, talking about this abortion thing. So I assume you're against abortion, period?
Against murder.
Whether it's a pill specifically?
Yeah, against murder, because God says you shall not murder.
Okay, so you know the Constitution, which says that religion is state or separate. So why should we make laws based on your religion, or anyone else's religion, for that matter?
Well, we have laws like you shall not murder, you shall not steal.
But God didn't invent those ideas.
Actually, He did.
No, He didn't.
10 Commandments, law of God.
Existed before Jesus. What did they do?
Well, Jesus always existed. Yeah, it goes back to the Garden of...
Do you have any arguments that aren't based on the Bible? Because you understand
I can use them.
Recognized as a scholarly source, right?
What's that?
This is not recognized as a scholarly source. It's sometimes recognized as a historical source. It is the source that leads people to life, and I know people don't like it. People don't like it because they're in rebellion against God. That's why people reject it. You can rebel against whatever you want. I have nothing specifically against Christianity aside from you to this bullshit, but that's whatever. That's its own conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't use this Bible or whatever beliefs you have, just like you said, it's moral relativism, right? Your moral relativism applies to Jeffrey Dahmer and to you, and you do not get to, or for that matter, say that this book that was written so long ago by nobody, we don't know who. I mean, we know some of the writers, it's in it. You don't know, I don't know.
God wrote it.
Nobody was there. God, that doesn't make any sense.
God wrote it. He did.
Did you see him? Was he there? Who told you?
Okay.
I'm not going to sit here and try to convince you that God's not real, because I don't want to do that.
I'd have to deny common sense to accept that, honestly.
Okay. I mean, you've done plenty of denying common sense yourself. So
Where?
I'm sure you're used to that. You're holding it.
This denies common sense?
It does.
Where?
I'm sorry to tell you this. Well, first of all, any of the things. So,
I mean, there are things.
What do you want to discuss? I'll pick a topic.
Where do you stand before God?
Where I stand before God, I don't believe in God. There is no God. There never has been a God. There's been no evidence of God. And as far as every time they're like, oh, there is evidence of God, it's either A, disproven, B, implausible, C, it doesn't make sense.
Okay.
Consider the flooding of the sea. If the world flooded as we know it, all life would be gone, period. Except for what was supposedly on the ark.
Actually, yeah.
You can debate that. Yes, I am sure of that, because
No. I'm saying, yeah, you're right. It did destroy the world, except for one family. Yeah.
I'm not talking about life in humans. Talking about the plants. We would not. There would be no grass here. There would be no trees. The coral in the oceans would be gone. Mountains would crumble. All of this. And we have no evidence that there was flood. We have evidence that the sea level went up and down over history due to naturally occurring causes. But we don't have any. Well, if there was a giant flood, we would know, because we would see. It's like this fucking impossible amount of pressure would have decimated life, or it decimated ecosystems, and there would be no plants. And you can't regrow plants from no plants, right? The water would have soiled would have destroyed the soil to an extent. If you say God can, what argument are you really trying to make? Anything I tell you and you just say God can.
No, I'm saying you're saying you can't. Well, God can do that. He did it.
And now I'm asking you.
Yeah.
What do you expect someone else to say to you? If all you can respond is God can.
Well, I said that one time, I think.
I know, but I can keep going, and you keep saying, well, Jesus lived forever. I'm saying, use something that is not the Bible. Because the Bible can't be proven.
Actually, I believe it can be. There's a lot of scientific...
You either believe it can be or it can be.
Science.
So you can believe
it's a scientific book, actually.
It's not scientific.
Yeah. I can give you a book of scientific facts in the Bible.
A scientific fact is
Many.
I can write down in a book 1,000 years ago, there's a tree right there. Yeah. That's a scientific fact. But it's full of non-scientific facts as well. You understand?
Like what?
Like the world flooding.
Okay, well that has been documented. But
I mean, it's been documented.
What are you open to evidence that God does exist?
Oh, I was a Christian for a while. I went to the camps. I didn't read all the Bible, but I read a bit of it. I've explored many of the religions, and I have come to the conclusion, because I analyze the world as it exists, as I see, as people have documented. And the chances that there was just one guy in history forever that could do these magical things, and that no one else ever could do it, is insane. And to assume that this guy could do it thousands, how long ago was it?
What's that?
When Jesus was alive? When Jesus was mainly alive.
Alive that he walked the earth?
Yes.
Roughly about 2,000 years ago.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. So there's this one guy 2,000 years ago, did all these miracles, and now we should worship him. Or worship his father, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't make sense, because we have observed humans for longer than that, and this has never happened. There is nothing that suggests that any of the healing the eyes, the parting the sea, and I know he didn't do that, Moses did, but all these fantastical ideas that the Bible gives you, nothing has been shown that those are plausible, that they could happen. There's been no evidence of them happening. And so you're sitting here trying to tell me that you believe in a God that can make anything happen. And not only do you believe in a God that can make anything happen, but he did all the things that happened, and there's been no evidence of it, and you still expect us to believe it.
Well, did you say you grew up as a Christian?
Yeah.
So you used to believe in God.
Yeah.
So and maybe you've gone into that a little bit. How I'm curious what evidence you went from believing there's a God to believing there is no God. What evidence convinced you?
If you could believe it, if you could believe it, it's what I just told you. It's that when you analyze the world, when you live as a human being, you can see that those fantastical claims it made could not have happened. They do not have it. No one has ever observed anyone in the history of existence doing what the Bible claims certain people could have done.
Because you can't observe history, right? I mean, you can observe, and you can observe it in a little bit of a way by digging for artifacts, finding like fossils and many other things. But there are some things you can't observe, and
we write those down.
We
write those down.
Yeah.
Things we can't observe.
But like I mean, I've always believed in God myself. I did not grow up a Christian at all.
Oh, did you not?
No, not at all. I didn't grow up doing any of this at all. Very different worldview than what I grew up with. And I grew up with the worldview of, lose your virginity before you turn 18. But, and, American Pie. If you don't know what that is, you're not missing anything. Well, the song and the movie series, where the goal was to lose their virginity before they turned 18. I grew up with that. But I've always believed in God. It's like, basically, you don't have to accept this. I'm just saying, like, saying there is no God, I'd say is like saying these buildings had no builder. Well, that's or a painting has no painter, or this book had no one binded this book.
So you're suggesting that we need a creator to have been?
Someone had to have made it.
Why?
Well, because where did it come from? It come from.
So it doesn't.
Where these buildings come from?
Did someone create that tree?
It got here. It got here somehow. Yeah.
It got here somehow, right? It came from a seed that was produced from another tree, and then the nutrients in the soil, it absorbed them, and it grew, right? And you or I, procreation, a child comes out. All of these are examinable. I know, I can imagine the thoughts you have on the Big Bang Theory, but we have done the same thing for the universe. We have tracked it as far as we can back the billions of years, and we have observed how we analyze what we see currently, right, with the long-ass telescopes and the space and all that, and then we use that information to backtrack and figure out what happened before, right? That's exactly what we do when we find historical records. We find an old book where you're like, wow, they're saying these incredible things. We need to investigate. We need to investigate these things, right? We need to
science, right?
Yes, we need
investigation.
To investigate. Yeah. We have to we have to repeat experiments. We have to do all of these things, but you can't do that with that. You can for some things, like when they talk about Jerusalem. Like obviously the city was there, the people were there, the people wrote things down. Jesus lived. I would never deny that. I think they found like his blood DNA or something. Like that's fine, but none of these claims can be backed up. And if someone went out today and said, I parted this sea, and then came back, I would not believe it. And if someone stood in front of you and told, so many ways I go about this. And so when it's 2,000 years ago, it's even less genuine. Generous, whatever the word is. Genuine. It's even less genuine. Because whether you believe it or not, you can't prove that. And since you can't prove it or base any science on it really, you can't legislate with it. And that's the root of the problem. Like I said, I don't care what you believe personally. As long as you're not hurting anybody or harming people, which this is, and we could do that
What's
later.
wrong with, and I'm just curious what's wrong with harming people? I mean, if you have no standard to...
Oh, I heard you talking about him with that.
Yeah,
I'm excited for this.
I mean, what standard is there?
So here's the thing, is that there are standards that exist, right? And I could go down to pain receptors, right? The harm in harming people is that someone else feels it.
Why is that wrong?
Because someone else feels it.
Who cares? Let's say I'm a secular humanist. I don't care. Joseph Stalin, he didn't care. He wanted to hurt people.
I love Joseph Stalin. I'm a communist.
So what's wrong with hurting people? Joseph Stalin did it. Seriously.
You don't know shit about Joseph Stalin.
Yeah. He murdered 20 million people?
No, you don't.
Yeah.
According to what?
So what? History?
You do this?
History?
You talk about the Holodomor?
History?
You bring up the Holodomor, which was manufactured by the Nazis to convince everybody that the Soviets did this famine. I don't even get in this shit with you.
Yeah.
All right, I'm sure we can.
I'm just
like what? Hours and hours.
Like what's wrong with hurting people? What's wrong with that?
You know what's wrong with hurting people.
I want to know why you think it's wrong.
I just told you. Other people feel things. You're a man of God, so you're a man who loves other people. Yeah. Right? That's what he says. And that's one of my favorite things about it, is that it's all predicated on this idea of loving other people, and that other people matter.
Why? Why
and even God tells you that other people matter beyond himself. Right?
Not beyond himself, no.
Yes, of course.
Because they're made in God's image. He made them in his image. That's why they matter. That's why they're valuable.
That's not what I'm. didn't.
Okay, I didn't. Go ahead.
Beyond himself, aside from himself. Obviously, I know you believe that God should be at top, and that's fine.
I've always believed that.
Whatever. But beyond himself, he believes you should be good to people to be good to people, right? Because that makes other people feel good. Because if you have no God, and you have the emotional maturity of a child, then yes, you can think only what I feel exists. I'm only going to do what I feel is good. But we can observe, well, one, atheists have lived for thousands and thousands of years, and we have observed them. And guess what? They're not all evil, murderous psychopaths. So your idea that you can't have good without God has already gone out the window, because we can observe people.
Yeah, we observed it in the 20th century with atheists and communists.
Okay.
Bloodiest century in history.
Before that, in every century, in all of history, there have been people who don't believe, and some have been bad, some have been good. I would argue say most have been good. But that's not even important, because your argument falls apart. I mean, you're on a college campus, right? So when you are interacting with these people, you have to abide by scientific inquiry, right? You're presenting this argument, and if the basis of your argument is predicated upon you cannot be good, or you cannot do good things, or you cannot do this without God, and people have been observed to contradict exactly what you're saying, you are wrong.
No, the Bible says that. Bible says that. Bible says you're not good, that you can do good.
The Bible's been proven wrong. Good
No,
job.
where?
You just lost your fucking religion,
Where?
dude.
No, it's just because you say it.
It's not that I say it, because that's what has been observed. That is
No, actually, people tried to misprove the Bible and they failed.
Atheists exist.
Oh, well, they profess there's no God, but they know there's a God. They know it. Romans chapter 1 says they know it.
Ask me if there's a God.
Well, you already said you don't believe there's a God.
There isn't one.
Yeah, and the Bible says you know that there is, but you suppress the truth and unrighteousness.
This is the issue with, well, with you, I'd say, but
Okay.
with these kind of hegemonist Christians, where you can present, if I could come to you and I'd say, if you don't have a phone, then you can't be a good person, because you can't Google how to be a good person. And I can say that, and you can tell me that's stupid. I don't have a phone, and I've been a good person my whole life because of the Bible. And I'm like, okay, well, my phone says otherwise. Do you understand that if I hold something, whether it's a text or whether it's a painting, and I say this is good because I say it's good and because it says it's good, that doesn't mean anything?
Yeah, because you say it, yeah.
In reality, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
And you want to legislate this?
We do legislate it right now. We say it's okay to murder people. So it's already legislated.
I mean, that's just a lie.
Well, people are being murdered in Kansas City.
Where's the legislator that says it's okay to murder people?
In the law. They say it's okay for moms and dads to murder their babies. Surgically and with pills.
I don't know.
We just came from the place where they murdered babies this morning. The law says they can do it. In violation of the Constitution.
Do you believe in the Constitution?
Well, that's why I'm...
So, yes.
Yeah, for freedom to be here, yeah.
So you believe in a person's right to their own body?
Not to use their body to harm other people, no. And the Constitution does not allow for that.
They're not using their body to harm anybody.
Well, they are. And if you're saying that, then you are actually denying science and the Kansas law and the Constitution that says no person shall be deprived of life without due process of law. These are people. Everyone knows it. Abortion is murder. Everyone knows it. They just suppress the truth and unrighteousness. Just like everyone knows that these buildings had a builder, and the person who doesn't deny common sense knows that there's.
You are so inundated with your own beliefs that you can look into.
You know how often I'm surrounded by people that disagree with me?
You know how? Sorry, say that again.
Do you know how often I'm surrounded by people who disagree with me?
I can't on this.
All the time. All the time.
No, I know. And then when
I just talked to Jaden, who he disagrees with me. But
when I first came up to you, I was mad.
Why were you mad?
Bullshit because.
Okay.
And then when I was like, I assume this isn't your first time here.
No, first time. No.
Is it your first time?
No.
Oh, so it's not.
Yeah.
You've had the angry, the angry gay dude yell at you before, right? You've been through these movements. There you go. And even through all this, you are just purposefully ignorant.
Ignorant of what?
Of how other people live.
No, I'm not ignorant at all. I know people are wicked.
You were looking at people and say, okay, I mean,
they need Jesus Christ. That's why I'm here.
I don't want to go in this whataboutism with you. I mean, okay. I could sit here and I could ask you, okay, what if a little girl gets raped? What does she do? Does she have a kid?
Love your baby. Love your neighbor. Love does no harm. Trust God. You don't murder people. I know we live in a culture that says put the baby to death, but that's evil. God says you shall not murder. You don't have to accept that. I'm just telling you that's
we live in some world where no one else's emotions actually matter to you, unless the Bible says.
They do, but our emotions don't. Our emotions and feelings aren't facts. See, people go out their emotions and feelings.
Or YouTube? Or do you record this for your safety, or do you post it?
Probably for that, because I have been assaulted before.
That's fair. No,
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
But do you post somewhere like a YouTube?
Yeah, I have a YouTube channel.
You have a YouTube channel?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go harass you or nothing.
You wouldn't be the first person if you did. You'll get the gospel if you do.
Are you willing to share that with me? It's fine if you're not.
Go ahead. Yeah, it's Nicholas Heald. Heald.
You can type it in.
Yeah. What's your name, by the way? I don't know if you told me.
My name's Jameson.
Jameson?
Jameson. Like
okay. Nicholas. Told you. Oh, no, not that. And if you had further questions, you'd be welcome to message me on Facebook or on my, if you wanted to further talk about these things. There we go. There you go.
Oh, what colleges have you visited?
Well, I visited a lot of college campuses. I was at
around here?
Yeah, I was at here and around the country. A couple days ago I was preaching at Johnson County Community College, and preached at Wichita State University some months ago. Traveling street preacher.
Traveling street.
Mm-hmm.
That would be, if it wasn't so brain dead, it would be kind of cool. I would almost support it if you actually just told people to love each other instead of being a dumbass and telling people that they don't have the right to their own bodies. What does this one say? I didn't get to read this one earlier. Pride goes before destruction. Haughty spirit before Yes.
By the way, I didn't grow up with any of this. Like I said, God saved me, changed me dramatically.
What kind of pain you've gone through to get to that point.
Well, my sin brought me a lot of pain, but then God saved me, and
that's what. No, I'm not trying to say that wasn't a diss on you. Like,
yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
For instance, I talked to my buddy about religion the other day. It's fine. Again, I have no issue with that. The issue is that you want to legislate what your book says, and you want to predicate your entire belief system on that book says, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to legislate it.
It's already being legislated.
It's being legislated. The right things are being
by wicked people. Wicked people have put into law that you can murder people, that homosexuality is, homosexual marriage. They're legislating it. Why is that okay?
Because there's nothing wrong with gay dudes getting married.
Says who?
What actual material harm is there?
Well, killed my uncle.
A gay dude killed your uncle?
No, the lifestyle killed my uncle.
AIDS killed your uncle?
Yeah.
Okay, AIDS isn't killing people anymore.
Yeah, it still is.
Ebola.
Still is. Yeah, people are dying through not just that, but through sexual morality. People die through sexual morality.
People die for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, sin. Not just sin, but yeah.
Without sin.
Yeah.
People die because their fucking appendix ruptures, and surprise.
But sin has consequences.
If there's a God, he's evil as fuck. I mean, you know that, right?
Like,
you can accept your God, but if there is a God, he is like, if you put me, if I die and I wake up at the gates of heaven, obviously he won't let me in, but he'll let me.
Why wouldn't he let you in?
Maybe he'll talk to me for a second.
Yeah.
So, I was telling him, I would spit in his face because he's the most evil not human being. He's the most evil being that's ever existed. To put a bone in your body that could just rupture. If you don't have an ambulance in minutes, you're dead. You could put viruses that eat out your fucking eyes, and for nothing. They don't provide anything to anybody. If God was aware, if God's, okay. Here's what I want to bring up. God knows evil exists, right? He allows evil to exist. Free will.
Free will.
Okay. He has power to do whatever he wants, right? He prevented all of the ecosystem from collapsing when when all the water came, right? He can do whatever he wants. I haven't said anything I'm trying to get you on yet. You'll know when I'm making my point.
Okay.
So he knows evil can exist. He's also knows everything, right? He knows things that we as humans can never know. Why does he allow evil to exist? If he could create free will, if he knows how, because he is God, can do anything, right? Why does he not create a world with both free will and without evil?
Maybe because it's not possible. Maybe because in order to have free will, we have to have the ability to make choices that can do harm. Otherwise, we'd be robots. God doesn't. He didn't make robots. He gave us free will.
Okay.
People have free will. Some will. They choose to sin.
Okay.
Right.
So God is condoning it.
No.
He's allowing it.
He gives you
which
free
is
will.
condoning.
People choose. They choose to go their own way. But without this may be the best world that God could have created, where people have free will, where most people could be saved. So it's very possible. But God didn't condone it. He gives us a free will to make our choice. We make our choice and we sin, and we hold accountable to God for that.
Yes, that's what condoning means. To give you the opportunity to, and to allow it to happen when you can intervene. Right? Like if I stand here and I watch someone getting beat up, and I don't do anything, that is condoning it, because I'm not intervening.
God has intervened at times, but not always. But why?
So that is I'm condoning it, correct?
No, God doesn't condone any evil.
And I have condoned it. And so when God stands up on his little pedestal up there, on his little fucking toilet, and he looks down at us, and he sees that, people are murdering each other here, things are happening here, and he watches it happen, knowing full well he can snap his fingers and it would never happen again. He does not.
Then you eliminate free will. You eliminate free will. In order to have free will, you have to allow people to do things, good or evil.
God is not all powerful if he cannot both eliminate evil and eliminate free will.
Well, he didn't create robots. Again, in order to have free will, you got to be able to make choices, good or evil. He gives us free will, and we choose to sin against him. And then we point our wicked finger in his face and say, "You're evil," when we're the ones who are evil.
All up in his face.
We're the ones who are evil. Who are we to say that God's evil? We're the ones who are evil.
If you have kids, I'm gonna use an analogy where you as a parent are God, right? Where you have control over the environment in the area, and you have two children with them, small children, and they fight, and they're fighting, like they're hurting each other, and you do not intervene because why? Because it's a lesson for the free will, for this, for that. That is not what we do. Because if God was truly good, he would encourage you to follow in his footsteps and change things. But he doesn't change shit.
That's why I'm doing this. To change things.
You're not
that's why I'm out here.
You know exactly what you're doing.
That's why I'm out here, to change
You're trying
things.
to get some little YouTube video and make people mad. And that's fine, man. Get your money. But
I don't get it. Doesn't.
I was about to say, I don't think you have much.
It's to proclaim the gospel. Because people hate God. They love sin. They need Jesus Christ.
Do you think coming to this university, which is super liberal, there's plenty.
I know.
If you go to Como and you go to Mizzou, they'll love all this. But
I don't want to go to a place where they love it. I want to go to a place where they need it. They need to hear it.
No one's gonna listen to you, dude.
You're listening. You've been listening for what, half hour?
Man, I don't respect any of the shit you're saying.
Don't have to. Jaden was listening. He didn't. Probably.
I know.
He didn't agree with a lot of what I said. But you've been here for like half hour. You've been listening.
Yeah, I know. I have.
So people listen. They come up.
Practice of self-control, really. But none of this shit you're saying is applicable to real people. It's fine if you go home and you believe and you pray and you believe in your God. That's fine.
God, that you used to believe in, right?
Sure.
Yeah, you used to believe in.
It's not gonna give me anything, man. I was like 11, and then I was like, damn, you can't do that. It's impossible. And then I learned. I went and I read other texts. I did the learning, dude. I went to a damn summer camp. Like
what, church camp?
Bible study. Yeah, church camp. They had us doing. It's called King's Camp down in Louisiana. They had us doing the Bible readings every day for a week. We prayed. We did all of it. And there's plenty of critiques you can make on its own. But at the end of the day, you are not allowed to use your religion to legislate anything. Just like a Muslim.
Isn't that what you're doing?
Allowed. I don't have a religion.
Everyone's religious. They believe something.
That's not what religion means.
The religion of atheists and communists is to murder people and to create whatever law you want.
Are you gonna tell me I'm a murderer?
Well, we're all actually a murderer according to Jesus. Because we've all hated our brother in our heart.
Well, what if I say we're all gay according to a drag show person? That's what I'm saying. Is you saying, hey, Mike, what's up, dude? You wanna help me out? Can you show him this sign?
Hello.
Can you show him now?
Good evening.
We just been sitting here chatting.
Yep.
Yeah. I know. Well, I just got out of my class. I'm good, dude. I miss you. Yeah. Sorry, this is a reunion. We haven't seen each other.
Yeah.
Dude, hell yeah. Well, you got beard now. Something like. Yeah, dude.
You still get your job over there?
Yes, working at Schofield. I'm taking Econ 420 with Dr. Naidu. I got 202. I don't remember this guy's name, but he's got kind of a blocky head. He's got real high cheekbones. He's blonde, short hair. He's got real high cheekbones, like a long jaw, real rectangle face.
the class, isn't it?
He got to it too, intro to micro.
Oh, it's fucking backwards.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, he's that dude. Everybody here tells me before they teach me neoclassical that it might not really work. I mean, Dr. Forstater was like, but he's hey guys, every time I listen to classical economics, it's just accessible. The same thing as listening to this shit. It's like, that doesn't mean
They used to believe in.
it doesn't mean anything. You're not actually doing anything. You're not helping anybody.
You should go talk when you have a chance.
What?
Yeah, I know, it's gonna surprise the shit out of you.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
What?
But approach it carefully because he doesn't like to too readily. I don't know why.
Fair enough. I was gonna say.
But
Well, I talked to Nadia once because I was talking to her after one of the classes. I was like, "You just don't Marxist." I was like, "Everything you do, you just don't Marxist." She's like, "See that?"
right.
She's like, "Can't. That's not." But she just I actually talked to her after class. I got a class where I came over here. Talking about Casey tenants and Missouri work things. She was like, "You want to organize, right?" I was like, "That's all I want to do." She's like, "Get in."
You're trying to like Jobs for Justice.
I haven't looked at Jobs for Justice. I'm collecting a list.
Good list.
Jobs. I'm really digging Casey tenants.
You got me.
No, I've seen their posters around. Stand up Casey.
Oh yeah. Stanford seems cool. How about Sunrise UMKC?
Sunrise.
That's the guy that organizes that. He's Forstater's son.
Forstater's son?
Yeah. He's actually he spoke in your macro class. He came and was like, "Hey, we're here from Sunrise Movement KC." He didn't say.
Oh, he
"This
was
is my
the
son,"
boy.
with long hair.
The bus. The
Yes.
bus.
Yeah.
I remember that.
That's Raymond. Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool. I tried to meet up with Forstater. I don't get the opportunity in class to pick the professor's brain, right? I have to listen to what they're telling me instead of asking me questions, which is all I really want to do. So I flip the whole thing. It's fun. I mean, I got Jeffrey Bennett for Anthony. You know Jeffrey Bennett?
Yeah.
So, okay.
I haven't had any classes.
I can't. And he's telling us he specialized in Southeast Asia, like 15, 20, probably like 25, 30 years ago. And so I'm trying to think, what were we doing in Southeast Asia 30 years ago? And I'm like, I just don't know. You know, these green berets, stuff he literally is not allowed to talk about. And he's cool. He's talking about Tautenstein, probably my favorite thing ever. He's critiquing capitalism. And I'm like, you're a Fed, dude. What are you? I don't trust you.
No.
But he's such
You're
a nice
up to
guy. But also, he was a psychological operations guy. Like, that's what he did.
Oh, shit.
He was the psyop
Yeah.
that we always talk about. And so, like, I think it's useless for me to try to read him. Like, he knows that I'm trying to read him.
Yeah.
Someone's trying to, like, can't get a read on this guy.
He's probably actively resisting.
He's so damn smart. He's also ripped for something.
Yeah. It's all the time Southeast Asia.
Yeah, right. All right, let's play.
I gotta get out of here, buddy. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna keep talking to this guy, guys.
All right.
Sorry about that. So my old buddy.
Oh, no worries.
He's a grad student.
No worries.
What are we talking about?
The Bible says the fool says in his heart there is no God.
It's fine. I can live with that.
Sure?
Oh yeah. I can live with it. Well, because I don't know if I went to hell that I didn't walk around telling people to believe my old shitty book. You know, like I wake up and be like, dang. I'm not really that worried about it. You know what I mean?
You're not worried about it, or?
No. I wouldn't be that worried about it. It's not gonna happen, man. And that's sad to, it's sad to look at life like it's, it's finite. It's sad. It's a reality check, really. But it's something we'll have to accept, right? We come close to the end of our lives, whether it's when we're 90, surrounded by family, or in a tragic accident, whatever it may be, and we have to accept that our time on this earth is finite.
It is.
And there is nothing that goes beyond that.
Not true, but go ahead.
And that's it. No, that's what that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that.
Yeah.
That nothing goes beyond that. And you can't.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, no, I'm positive.
Okay.
I'm positive. You don't have to ask me if I'm sure about anything.
Well, I don't know if you're sure unless I ask.
Well, yeah, you do, because I'm telling you.
Okay, yeah,
Sure.
that's why I ask, yeah.
I know, but I'm telling you that you don't have to ask me.
Okay.
Because I'm telling you, whatever I say, I'm sure of.
Okay.
And if I tell you what, if I'm not sure of something, then I'll say that. I'll
Okay.
preface it or after,
Okay.
whatever. you cannot prove by any sort of scientific standard that God exists. You can't do that.
I believe I can.
Go ahead.
I don't know if you're open to it, but I mean, I brought it before you a little bit earlier, and you kind of rejected it, but it's common sense that when you observe things that are there, building, a car, a painting, a book, to say that that came out of nothing, that nothing created something, or that nothing created everything, is a scientific impossibility.
So that's a logical fallacy, is what it is. Because, well, first of all, I didn't say that nothing created nothing. I'm not saying that we came from nothing, because there was something before. Whether we understand it or not, we've tracked us back to the Big Bang, and before that it is fuzzy, and we don't really know. But we didn't know a lot of damn things. We didn't know how many stars there were in the sky. We still maybe don't. We didn't know the planets in our solar system. We don't know things about those. And so throughout history, we created a mythology around it, right? The Romans, they observed Mars and they worshipped it. And then now, as technology has advanced, we've been there and we see it. It's like, oh, it's just a red dusty planet. It's like, that's cool though. We can study it. We can do cool things with it. But that mythology, just like your mythology, gets phased out because it doesn't become applicable to real life. Religion was created, A, for control, and we can get into that, but B, it was created to explain the things that we don't know yet. And as humans have existed and created, we've begun to explain these things, right? There used to be naturally occurring phenomena that we had no idea. We attributed floods and earthquakes and all of these things to God. But now we can read seismic quakes. We read tectonic plates, right? We know why things happen. And so this mythology has been phased out, right? No one takes it seriously anymore. We're on a college campus, right? They do actual scientific inquiry with actual questions. I don't walk into my econ professor's office and say, well, it's common sense that this happens, because common sense has nothing to do with science, right? Common sense is created off the idea that humans are rational, and there's a whole long spiel after that, right? You don't know what common sense is in the scientific terms because you don't know anything about science, because your view of life comes from that thing, which has clouded you from reality, right?
Reality is this country's going to hell in a handbasket. That's reality.
Actually, but that's what I'm hoping for.
We agree on something, right?
Hey, there you go. Agree on something. No,
Why is it going to hell in a handbasket? Because we've forsaken God.
Capitalism.
We've forsaken God.
God doesn't give a fuck.
That's why. That's why.
Nobody gives a fuck about God.
I know that's why this country's going to hell in a handbasket, because we don't care about God.
You can say that everything's bad because of God and help nobody.
No, because we've forsaken Him. Yeah.
You can say everything's bad because people aren't believing in God. People are forsaking God, whatever you want to say, and that doesn't help anybody. And I can say, well, people are actually unhappy because rent's too high and people can't afford to live. Food's too expensive, so we can't afford to do this. People aren't getting paid enough. And I can help people with that idea. You walking around saying, no, you shouldn't abort your baby, or no, you should not have sex before you're married. That's not helping anybody, dude.
Your belief. That's what you believe.
That's not what I believe. We can put numbers to this, dude. If I go up to 1,000 people and I tell them taking a pill to terminate a baby is murder, and I go to 1,000 people and I give them $100, the amount that we help people is damn, what's that word? Thank you. Exponentially different, right? You're not actually helping anybody. And
okay, that's your belief, your opinion.
That's what I'm telling you, though. It's not a belief. Okay. That's the difference between what we do. Religion is beliefs, and that's fine. You can believe in your religion. You can believe in Allah. You can believe in God. You can believe in what the Hindus believe and the Buddhists believe. That's fine. But when you actually have to help people, preaching to them doesn't do anything.
Okay, right? you assume that. You can't prove that at all.
That's why
I know for a fact that it does.
You know for a fact it does.
Yeah, people get saved through the preaching of the gospel.
What kind of...
I know people who've gotten saved and they actually work to help people. They're doing many different things.
Trust me, my grandma is a big Bible girl like you are. Not calling you a girl. I'm not trying to make that joke. But
yes.
She's a Bible girl.
Yeah. She's been praying for you.
She is. She tells me every night, man.
This is the answer to her prayers, possibly.
Dude, I don't... I'm being nice because I want to be nice. I don't give a fuck about anything you say.
That's all right.
Right? You're not saying anything substantial. You're not helping anybody like this. You staying out here doing this is you wasting time. You could go.
Then who cares?
You could just get a damn job, and you probably have a job, to be fair. But you could just go. I don't know. If you really want to spread Jesus' teaching, go to a damn food pantry and help people. And when people come by, it's like, man, I'm praying for you. You know, that is both spreading your message and you're actually genuinely helping someone. Go volunteer. Go. You're standing at a college campus just trying to get teenagers and most people aren't here. Most people here aren't teenagers. Trying to get teenagers and college students to argue with you.
No.
Like, that's what you're doing here. And you're not helping anybody.
Okay.
You know that you're not helping anybody coming here.
No, I know I do. I wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't helping people.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's your opinion. That's okay.
You want to take him? I'm not.
Jump up to the
I've been
preacher's
doing this
corner.
for like 45 minutes. He just says, "Oh no, actually, because God can." I don't know what you believe. Might be on his side. It's fair. It's a nice bag though. I like that bag.
I mean, I think you can. I think you can look at the. I don't know the word I'm looking for. I think you can look at the value of what. What was your name?
Nicholas.
Nicholas.
Yeah. What's your name?
Julian.
Julian.
I think you
I don't know if I may have gotten yours already.
Jameson.
Jameson, that's right.
I think you can
Jameson
look
and
at
Julian.
the value. It seemed like that was what you were doing. Like I just showed up, but I think you can look at the value of what Nicholas is doing, and you can question that. However, I think it is important for people to have conversations.
I agree.
These disagreeing conversations, right? Because he's coming into an environment where, I mean, you're talking to him, right? Like, so you're having that conversation. And I think it's also important with most things, as with most things, and I think with this, not trying to simplify this, but the idea of usually the answer is not one thing or the other, it's somewhere in the middle. And not that it's like there's like a gray area in terms of like abortion, but just sort of like there's more of a middle ground in terms of like arguments that are made. Like I think what usually happens with talks like this is like one person is focusing on one thing and another person is focusing on another thing, and they're not actually talking about the same thing, right? You know what I mean? Like both people are coming in with presuppositions, and then you think you're having a debate or a discussion or an argument, and you're like, you know, we're not really getting anywhere. It's like, well, it's because you're not really coming from the same framework. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
That's fair.
And so, I don't know, I think that having discussions can be beneficial. I don't know what you guys were talking about, or what you guys were saying in your discussion, but I think there's a potential for beneficial discussions. And I would also say, I mean, myself personally, I don't think that there's anything that I would look at, like a belief someone holds or an opinion, that I would say that I couldn't look at and try and understand why they believe that. Like, you know, you have people that are like racist or whatever, you know, or you know, all these phobias, you know, take your pick.
All the things.
There's always like, and I'm not attributing that to you, for the record. I think there's always.
Except the homophobia. That one tracks.
I think that.
Not afraid of homosexuals, by the way.
No, I'm not. No, like I'm saying,
Just clarify.
I know I'm discussing, and
You must be a little scared. You don't want them to get married.
I'm saying
Well,
I'm
not scared of them.
I'm not attributing anything. I'm not attributing anything to
I got
anybody
you,
in
yeah.
this
I
conversation.
got you.
I'm just talking. So
Yeah.
I just want to make that clear.
No, it's fine. And I'm not trying to diss you. I'll diss him all day, but
No, but,
malice towards you. No malice towards you.
I think that the idea that I couldn't understand, or I couldn't try to come to understand why someone would hold a belief. You know what I mean? Like, even if they are racist, or they've come to that belief for some reason.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, just the idea of like, well, I think it breaks down, communication or discussion when you're like, well, this is what you are. Like, you stamp somebody, like, well, you're racist. Even if someone is racist, it's sort of hard to talk to them after that, because it's like, well, this is, you're racist, you've been labeled, and how can you go from there? It sort of like makes any point they make like moot. You know what I mean? Like it's like, well, you have one area where you're clearly flawed in your reasoning. I don't think, for the most part, I don't think people are generally just believe things for no reason or like nonsense. Like there's clearly reasoning that goes into that. So when you like don't look at the reasoning, I think it kind of breaks things down. And like I said, even for things that are clearly wrong, and I think there's things that are clearly wrong, and then there are things
So
like
that's the only issue I have.
Discussion, and there's things that you have to make distinctions. That's why I was talking about presuppositions, just meaning like preconceived notions, the ideas you're coming into the conversation with, and how if you don't talk about those first, then I think it's really hard to have a conversation, because it's like you're not getting the other person, they're not getting you, and it makes it really hard to have a conversation about abortion.
Well, I mean, first, this poster does not support conversation about abortion. He's trying to make a statement.
Actually, we talked about it because of it.
Well, I think it's
but that's not what you're here for.
I think
you're here to get people fucking yelling at you and laughing at you, so you can just feel good about yourself.
People yell at me because they hate God and love sin.
I'm probably about to say some things you don't agree with, and I promise I'm not going to say them. I'm not saying them to you personally. And I agree with you that when you come into an idea with presuppositions, that it creates issues talking about it. And that's fine when you're comparing peanut butter and jelly. But when we're talking about people's lives, and you're talking about, actual harm that can be done to people, we're not having nice conversations. We're not supposed to have nice conversations with the Nazis, right? Because what they were doing was inexplicably, well, actually no, it was inexplicably. It was evil, and it was terrible.
How do you know?
You know what?
How do you know it was evil?
I'm not doing that bullshit with you.
Well, we did it earlier and you had no answer. Because you can't.
It hurts people. I'm giving
Why is that
my
wrong?
answer.
You didn't answer that earlier. Well, why is that wrong?
My answer.
Why is that wrong?
Because it hurts other people.
Who cares? Again, who cares?
That person.
Who cares?
That person. Who
cares if someone? Who cares if that person cares?
I'm answering your damn question.
Not really.
This person.
Who cares if people care? Who cares? What's wrong with any of that?
The person on the receiving end of the harm.
Well, the person that did the harm, they don't care. You don't have the problem. You don't have a standard to say that this is wrong. Who cares if this hurts that person's feelings? Who cares if this person is harming this person? Who cares?
You can say that, but you can see in real life, in real time, atheists who have no predetermined moral code by a book, not doing bad things.
But they had no standard to back it up with. They had no standard. Although their own
judge people by what
their own subjective morality, their own opinion.
We don't judge people by the standards they say they have. We judge people by their actions and what they do.
And who's to say we're right about their actions?
When you say who cares, are you saying who cares, or are you saying what does it matter?
Well, yeah. What do you
say when you say who cares?
When I'm saying who cares, what I mean is okay, someone hurts someone. Yeah, what does it matter? If there is no standard beyond, I think that's wrong, or society says that's wrong, what does that matter at all? Who cares if it? This person thinks it's wrong, this person thinks it's right. Who's to say that either one are right?
And to entertain that idea, you have to willfully ignore that there is a person on the receiving end of this harm who does care. Right?
Well, they care, but again, why does that matter that they care? What does it matter?
Because they care.
Who cares?
They do. I'm answering your question.
What?
You can repeat it to me. What's up, babe?
I'm just trying to help you see that you have no standard as a professing atheist. You have no standard. You have no standard to say that this is right or this is wrong, other than your opinion.
First of all, we can examine. Sorry, I want to talk
abortion!
Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks.
He said I love abortion. He did. Hell yeah, I love abortion too. I think we should make it free, actually.
Well, I guess I would say this. Do you really love abortion?
I love that people can get abortions.
But do you love it? You're using the word love.
I love that people can get abortions.
Why?
Because that is access to health.
Could you expand on that? When you say I would say I love soccer. You know what I mean? That term we use.
I love that people have access.
English, we use love
to
a lot of ways.
I love that people have access to abortions. I love that in most states in the country, I actually don't know if it's most. Do you know how many states you can get an abortion in? You probably do.
I know in Kansas you can. Any state you can murder your baby legally, including through the pill.
Well, great. So, it's an accessible thing, right? That's good because it's healthcare, because it keeps women healthy, right?
By murdering their babies?
Yes, yes, it keeps women.
It's healthy to murder your baby.
Being pregnant
Okay.
presents so many health risks to women, so many.
And murdering your baby
so
doesn't.
Many, in fact, that it could kill the woman.
And murdering your baby can kill
but
them. Yeah.
I mean, I would push back a little bit that the idea of I mean, the human race, species continuing is a great risk to obviously there's risk. However, I would say, I mean, I think that'd be core biological design if you're probably gonna die if you get pregnant. It's well, that doesn't quite make sense. You know what I mean?
No, I'm not saying that. But there are health risks,
Sure.
right? Like when you're pregnant, they don't encourage you to go out because you're way more susceptible to diseases. And if you get sick while you're pregnant, there is some medicine you have to take to survive, right? Because we want people to live.
Just not babies in the womb.
Well, babies in the womb are people.
Oh, okay. You can deny science and basic human biology if you want, but.
Well, you can bring up basic human biology, but when you go to slightly more advanced human biology, then your basic biology doesn't really stand up, right? Like you can
deny it all you
there's
want.
Only two genders. Basic biology says that. Well, advanced biology understands that the human spectrum, or that there is a spectrum of humans, right? Of human beings, and that you could say, yeah, there's only male and a female. And there's a penis, a vagina. There's you can have both sometimes. Sometimes one's bigger than the other. So you can have neither. You can have fucking weird. Your genetics can converge to a point where you have something new. Probably doesn't work.
Well, I would say with that, I think in terms of you want to make a distinction between social and cultural and biology, right? So biologically,
That's a bit. It's good hearing this conversation. No?
Yeah.
So biologically, I would say that there's male and female. Now you can talk about culture and when I mean, and I'm talking about sex, I'm not talking about gender. I'm talking about.
Well, we can talk about sex, and it isn't just male.
I'm talking about.
According to biology, sex is not just male. We've created words. What?
In what way?
Well, there's intersex.
Sure, but intersex is a mutation of. Would you agree that it's a mutation of DNA? The same way that twins is a mutation in that it's split. Right? So
and
I would
we still
say,
view twins as people, right? Right?
Yes.
So we still view intersex as people.
Yeah.
And you agree with this.
However, I mean, I think that when you're looking at that, it's that is a mutation, and I mean all human beings have mutations in them. I mean that's how you.
Are you a redhead?
Get past diseases and things like that. I mean, I have some red.
But yeah. So why do you bring up mutations? We both accept that mutations do not determine the value of a person's life, right?
Yeah.
And we accept mutations as they are.
I was just saying, I think you have to separate mutation from the typical. Right? So the typical.
But mutations are typical, just like you said. Every single human being that walks this earth has their own mutation.
Is I would say that I would make a distinction between the kind of mutation, because the kind of mutation for me having two different colored eyes is very different than the kind of mutation that would, make me have both reproductive.
But it's not.
Systems.
It's they're the same. It's a gene, a few genes that are out of place or that match, or there's a lot that goes into it.
Well, this is
but
really
all
tricky,
of these are respected because they're all naturally.
It gets really tricky though, because when you talk about DNA, I mean, there's a lot of there's commonalities. We share DNA with bananas and you know what I mean? Does that mean we're anything like a banana? Well, no, right?
Well, yes, no, it does. I mean, obviously, visually we're not like a banana. But that's why we do genetics. That's why we look at genes. It's because we know where we come from. I mean, us being similar to banana proves that when we're single cellular organisms, that we came from that evolution is real. Do you believe in evolution?
Do I believe in evolution? Do you have to define what do you mean by evolution?
That we came from monkeys and are now humans.
No, there's no evidence to support that. We're made in God's image. We didn't come from animals.
That's outrageous. There's no evidence.
You asked me what I believe.
You're denying science.
Well,
you're the one that says it's not a human being in the womb and that there's no God. Who's denying science here?
I don't think that there's necessarily.
You just make shit up.
It gets complicated.
I'm not the one. You're suppressing truth.
From monkeys, it gets a little.
This is what government indoctrination does.
Like I understand. I
mean,
understand
to be
it's
fair, I would
weird
say
to look at.
saying we came from monkeys.
Why is it weird to look at?
Would you
Because
say
it's not
that's
natural.
an oversimplification of?
It's really not. I mean, like.
Well, it's like, what do you mean by monkeys, and what do you know?
Well, there was
like, you know what I mean, like.
Yeah, there was a specific group
it
of
does
monkeys.
get complicated. It's not as simple like. Here's the. You know what I mean?
It
like,
does get complicated when you just analyze it as a whole, but in the conversation we're having, it's as simple as we did come from monkeys, right? Because we're debating if it even happened. We're not debating like which group of monkeys, why was it this monkeys, why do monkeys still exist then? Like, we can have all those conversations, and those discussions are complicated, they're complex, you're right. But just questioning, did we come from monkeys? That's not a complex conversation. It's very direct. I mean, one, we look like them, down to the fucking T. We look like them, right? Except we don't have hair on our body. Other than that, there are species of monkeys that look scarily similar to us. And obviously, we can look at our genetics.
Greetings.
I'm just curious what's going on here.
Yeah.
Well, this dumbass brought his stupid fucking signs out and wants to get everybody here mad at him. And so I'm just,
Well, thank you for judging me very much.
happy to.
Yeah. And they say that the Christian's a bigot. Intolerant.
As a Christian, I love everybody.
That's good, man.
I don't judge anyone.
Good.
Actually, we all judge people. We all do.
True, but we shouldn't.
Who's to say we
God
should?
says, do not judge thy neighbor.
Yeah, you've been judging me this whole time.
I will say.
I don't ascribe to God.
I think you can look at.
I do things based on my material analysis of the world. And if I deem it important to judge you as an idiot, then I will do that. And I have.
Yeah.
I would
That's
say
fine.
in Scripture it says, judge lest you be judged. The understanding being, you will judge and you will be judged. In
It
turn.
also says, thou shalt not judge thy neighbor.
So that's the judge with righteous judgment.
And
Judge
Right, the
righteous
spiritual man
judgment.
judges all
Judge thy
things.
judgment under
neighbor.
God, correct?
Hmm?
The righteous judgment means
Say, do
is
not
judge.
like thy neighbor is thyself.
Well, I would just go back to.
I will say he has every right to believe what he wants to believe, because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, this is a free
Yeah.
country. We can believe what we want
So
to
far.
believe. He wants to be out here with these signs. Not everybody will agree with him. Some people will, some people won't.
I have no problem. with
He shouldn't get any hate for standing with what he believes in.
I disagree with that. If you stand for what you believe in, whether you're him or me or a Nazi, you are accepting that you're accepting the consequences of that action, right? Nazis, they got murdered.
I mean, that's true. Yeah, no, that's true.
Well, would
I
you
mean,
say
our
that-
religion
would
says
you-
they were going to
would-
get
would you
persecuted
say
for
that-
believing.
All those who desire to live godly in Christ Jesus will be
His signs,
persecuted.
Would you say that he shouldn't be able to have these signs? Or
So
that,
I don't discriminate. I've told him this already. Christians, I don't mind. You believe whatever you want to believe. Muslim, Christian, whatever.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm a Marxist. I don't even believe that religion. And y'all know Marx said that religion would not exist.
Is the
should not
opium of the
exist,
people.
Right? I don't even ascribe to that. I think it's beautiful that people have religion and ways of believing. It is this spreading of hatred that I don't believe. And it is him going to this college campus with the cameras on, with his Bible up, just holding shit like this that makes people look at it. And your first reaction to that is, whoa, you fucking, no, you don't want to go yell at him, I want to go do this. That's what he's doing. He's not here to spread gospel. If he was trying to spread gospel, he would go to a damn soup kitchen and talk to people about God.
Actually, I have done that, and now I'm doing it here on this campus.
Well, good for you. We should go back to doing that.
Why? Why should I?
Because it helps me.
Maybe I think this helps you.
Because it helps people.
No, this helps people too.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
You're not helping anybody. And even
That's your
if
opinion.
you are helping, let's say you are. Is it gonna rain? Do y'all know?
Yeah, it could be.
Looks like it's gonna rain.
It's gonna rain fire and brimstone one day.
Yeah, when we fucking overthrow capitalism.
Yeah. Those who deny God.
Well, I would say I think there's clearly some ideas that you're both. Well, me too. That we're all holding that we're not necessarily communicating to the fullest extent that we could, right? Articulating. And I would say I would go back to to your comment of I love abortion. So I would say a question I would ask is.
Can I first say that my saying I love abortion was a little bit of a joke? Just a little bit, because I do love
okay,
that
I
abortion
appreciate that.
exists.
No, I
love
can
that abortion
appreciate that.
exists and that it's available for people to have. I don't encourage people to have abortions unless it is if you're pregnant and you're literally gonna die if you have this baby, then I would encourage you to get an abortion. Right?
Okay.
And that's what doctors do.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay, I appreciate that. Good.
Sorry, you mentioned earlier, and I meant to come back to it. No, obviously the human race needs to continue living.
Sure.
And we will. I don't think everybody should have an abortion and all the species will die in 100 years.
I was bringing that up of just sort of like, I think when you have this discussion, like, sometimes it can get really bogged down in like, well, it's just a religious belief of like that abortion is wrong, and then I would come in and I say, well, I would say, I don't know if you have any sisters or.
Actually, both of my siblings. I have a brother who's 3 and a sister who's like 2 months old.
Gotcha.
So they're young.
Yeah, I have 3 older brothers. I got 3 younger sisters.
Oh yeah.
So, the idea being like, you wouldn't give. This is phrased really weirdly, but you wouldn't give your sister, an abortion as a present. You wouldn't be like, I'll pay for it. You know what I mean? So clearly, there's something undesirable about it, right? Does that mean?
Well, that's another
do you agree with
conversation because that's cultural connotations, right? That we apply to.
No, I'm not speaking about cultural.
You're referencing it because the idea that abortion is bad in our culture, there are people who believe it. There are people who
the reason I made that was also kind of a joke. Like, you wouldn't give it as a present. Like, there's something undesirable about it.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So in anthropology, this we call this ethnocentrism, and I know what your first thought of that means, but I'll expand it a second. Is ethnocentrism is that we have our thoughts, and we blanket it around here. But there are cultures that exist in the world that regularly do abortions, and they might even consider it an act of God. They might consider it a beautiful thing.
Some in this culture do.
Huh?
Some in this country do.
Sure.
Many actually.
Well, I think you could say that I think if you spoke to any, and I mean, perhaps I'm wrong in this, because obviously I don't have any experience in this, but I think if you spoke to any woman who had an abortion and you asked them, would you want to do that again? Was that fun for you? Like, they would say no. And I would argue, even if you really tried to make it a great experience and it was common in the culture, I don't think it's like desirable. Like, yes, this is fun, this is a good thing, it's like easy, like, you know what I'm saying? There's something clearly not like undesirable about it. Like, it's not like a.
I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying people want to do it. I wouldn't even say people actually want to do it for fun. I'm sure he might say that, but I don't believe that. People do it out of necessity. It's like another medical procedure, right? No one wants to go into surgery, but if it's that or dying, or if it's that or you're poor for the rest of your life because you had a kid when you were 17 and you could only work part-time, so you had to take care of it, and all of these things, no one would want to do an abortion. But there are circumstances that are presented where you have to live. And
Sure.
I'm not even saying Christians as a whole, people who believe that, in this big old sign, believe that we should legislate against it, are preventing that health care for women. And women are dying because of it. Women, will die because of it. Women have died because of it. Because here's the issue with legislating against abortion, is abortion still happen, right? It just now you've turned it
So is
from
bank
a pill
robbery,
that
so
works
does
to
Grand
somebody sticking
Theft
a hanger up
Auto.
their vagina.
Yeah.
And then what do? Now you have a woman who is infertile, who could have gotten a dozen different diseases, and so what are you doing? And
So let's
let's
make murder legal so that people don't.
It's okay to believe things, right?
Practical.
Probably not.
When your
Probably not for the
beliefs-
Christian.
But when your beliefs harm people, that is where I have an issue. And like
Your
I
beliefs
said,
harm people. Communism, atheism,
I
harms a lot of people.
Well, I think
Millions of people.
It sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like you are looking at it in a practical sense, in the same sense of crime, you get rid of, you could use an example of like drugs. You make drugs illegal, and it's like, well, people are still going to do drugs, and now you're just arresting a bunch of people. Like, and would that be a fair statement to say, like, well, your position being like, how do we make this work culturally where it's not just people getting illegal, like back alley abortion, stuff like that? Is that kind of what you're saying?
I like that. I like that analogy because yeah, if you just make all drugs illegal, then some kid is gonna go buy some weed from somebody, and it's gonna have fentanyl, and they're gonna die, right? Sure. So we create dispensaries because if you buy from a dispensary, it's a government sanctioned, state-owned, it's regulated. Exactly. In Portugal, they decriminalized all drugs from fentanyl, and I don't think they really have fentanyl in there, but heroin to coke to meth, all that's decriminalized, and you can buy it at a store. And guess what? Not only have addiction rates dropped, overdose rates have plummeted. Because now, when you go, say I go to the store and buy some meth, 1, it's gonna be expensive as fuck. But 2, it's not gonna kill me. 3, they're gonna have records on me. So when, so they can get me help, right? They can be like, okay, we have your information now. You're going to this psychiatric place. You're going to go here. You're gonna get this help. That's how you solve it. You don't solve people by throwing people in jail, right? Sure. And just like,
well, I mean, I could be wrong. I don't think that Nicholas here is saying that you should, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, throw people in jail that have abortions. I don't know.
We should have a law that says it's illegal to do it. It's a criminal act. If you do it, you'll be punished. You'll be put on trial, and if you're guilty, the Bible says you should be put to death.
So he's saying if you have
Do you think people should be put to death for abortion?
Once it's criminalized, if it's proven that you did it with malice and aforethought, you're given a trial like every other crime, then you should be put to death, according to the Bible. Okay. So you should be punished.
I would disagree with that.
That's okay. You asked me. But you should be punished.
Just so how you said
for any crime.
These conversations
sure,
of different
put to death,
ideas.
I mean, I feel is.
Well,
these conversations of different ideas.
We put people to death for murdering born people, right?
Sure. Well, here's what I would say. Well, I mean, that's a whole other thing, the death penalty. But I would say
you should be punished.
Well, to be fair, I would say I'm not in favor of abortion.
Okay.
But that is because of my belief that human life is something that is sacred, like something that you you can't just take it away with no consequences. Now, it's obviously a multifaceted issue, and it's not a simple answer in terms of just saying, well, just don't do it, and there's no exceptions to the rule. I believe that sometimes that answer is very tricky. I don't support, abortion.
I hadn't considered it before, but now I am.
Right,
It's kind of metal.
I'm kind of with it.
Gotta admit.
This puzzle was hard as shit.
But I
was
would
like
say,
the World Tree Yggdrasil. You ever see that shit?
Yeah.
He looked mad as hell too.
The reason I would say that
I mean, maybe if rapists use condoms, I know mine didn't, so like.
Yeah.
I would just say I disagree with
murder
this in the sense that
murder someone.
I think it's very hard to make.
Let's just murder a baby, right?
When a person becomes.
How many children have you cared for?
How many have you murdered?
Told you that if a woman has an abortion,
I care for a lot of children. I'm speaking up for them.
Yeah, because I don't school teacher.
You don't agree with that,
but
you
and a babysitter.
all you said was I don't agree
my
with
little siblings quite
right?
a bit. So.
And if you create this dichotomy,
I just cared for an elderly man 24/7 for 3 months.
You believe what I believe. That lets room for people with very violent beliefs to take hold, like we should put women to death for having
this
abortion.
will kill people for
or
sure,
Nazis.
Yeah.
Communists and atheists killed 100 million people in the 20th century. No big deal.
I'm just saying.
Well, I mean,
when you start to shut off
first, right?
I was just making the point of
let's just murder people to solve problems. That's what the communists and atheists do.
I don't know. You were already talking, so I guess what I was saying.
20th century.
No, I'm saying
no, it's okay.
Okay, you don't.
I'm also an ordained minister, so
you're what?
I'm also an ordained minister, so I really appreciate
the idea that you would.
Minister of what?
For other people.
I do for little babies in the womb being murdered.
Yeah, except for that's one person. So.
Well, what church are you minister of? You know that women are actually not pastors. No, you're not a pastor, ma'am. You're not a pastor. A minister flipping a preacher off. A minister giving a middle finger to a preacher. There you go.
Stupid and hate speech.
Hate speech?
This is hate speech.
It's freedom of speech, ma'am.
It's freedom of speech, but it doesn't mean it's not hate speech.
Why is it hateful? Why is it hateful? That was loving, ma'am. That middle finger was very loving. Yeah, Jesus would flip people off, right? The middle finger is not loving. Why? Why should I be ashamed of myself? Why? Oh, man.
Christian, right? Because this is someone who has openly called for the extermination of these people. And you suggest that, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I'm
just put them in my mouth, right?
To a different we are now just if I sit down and talk to him, I'm right in front of him because whatever it is, he has become so inundated with these ideas that he's going to exterminate entire races of people. He deserves nothing.
Would you say it's not important to find out why, in the sense of, if he is doing it and other people are following him, so coming to the same conclusion he is it not important to find out, like, why are people coming to this conclusion? Not just, well, they're doing something like evil and wrong, so let's just destroy them. It's like, yes, but also understanding the person so that we can have it not happen in the future, or know how to address someone that starts coming to that belief and say, okay, well, I know how to have a conversation with this person because, you know what I mean, like neo-Nazis or whatever. Oh, I can start to convince people, hey, don't do that because, you know what I mean, like, instead of just, oh, Nazis, neo-Nazis, whatever it is, destroy them, it's like, well, how do we stop people from becoming that, right? You can't do that if you don't understand why people are coming.
But we don't have to interview Nazis to figure out what came to this conclusion.
No, I know. I'm just, I think, but just that was the idea I was trying to.
No, and we certainly don't have to allow Nazis to exist for that reason as well. And he is openly vying for murdering women if they get an abortion.
When did I ever say that, sir? Murdering.
Put to death.
How do you?
Murder.
Well, we do. That's very kind of you, by the way. No, I'm for justice.
When you talk to people,
You support murdering babies in the womb.
that creates this room. And at its very worst, it spreads it. These are people we should not listen to because
I don't mean.
Well, then walk away. Walk away, Jameson. You don't want to hear it. Walk away.
I'm talking to him.
Yeah. You don't say you don't want to hear it. Walk away.
I find so much joy in you getting frustrated.
I'm not frustrated with you. I'm just trying to call you out on your inconsistency. You're so inconsistent. So inconsistent.
I have not made a single contradictory statement.
You're all over the place.
You're holding the book of
You have no standard.
I think that
You have no standard.
I think we all have.
If I had no standard,
You have no standard.
have you seen me attack anybody? Have
Well,
I even attacked you? If you
Not
said
physically, no.
atheists
I
had
appreciate that.
If you said atheists had no standard,
They
then
don't.
atheists would be around you fucking dogpiling. But they
No.
aren't. Are they not?
They have no
So
stand. They have no
clearly there
standard
is a
to
standard.
base what they believe on. It's just you shouldn't hurt people. Who says? Who cares? Because that people you shouldn't hurt people.
You see what I
That's
mean?
no standard.
Well,
He's not presenting any idea.
I think he's presenting.
You have no standard.
I think. That,
I have a standard of the law of God.
Yeah, I think. Well, I think
Oh, you
you're
don't.
presenting some ideas. I could say myself, I am Catholic. I think you're presenting some ideas, perhaps not in the correct way, right? So, like the same thing where you say, like, who cares? I think you're really meaning to ask another question. But
He's suggesting
Just saying
murdering
who cares.
women
No, I never said
for
that.
abortions. Put to death is murder.
You suggest murdering babies in the womb. You're the one who supports murder.
If you want to call it
Murdering babies in the womb.
then you can do that.
We put criminals to death on death row. That's not murder. That's justice.
No, it's murder.
No.
It's murder for justice, but it's still murder.
You mean putting criminals to death who've committed rape and murder? That's murder?
Yes.
The death penalty is murder?
to be fair, it is murder.
What's that? What-
Putting people to death is murder.
Well,
In any case?
to be fair, it is.
In every case.
Every
If
case?
someone
I don't know if
dies
it's
by
not-
another person saying that is murder.
I mean,
That's
Oh,
what
there's
it is.
killing and murder.
There's killing and murder. I
It
guess
is.
you could
he
say
said,
that it's
he
killing.
said if a
Do
woman
that.
gets an abortion, he don't even know anything. He just repeats his same shit. Like I
'Cause you're so inconsistent.
I hit him from all the boundaries.
Okay,
Like, well,
okay.
scientifically it's this.
I
well,
think you can look at
actually
it.
This.
You're just-
doesn't
you're full of
actually believe
You could say
inconsistencies.
justly. Maybe you could say justly
It's
killing,
justly.
but you would still be taking the
I don't even
person's
know.
life.
Yeah, that's not always murder.
Yes,
Not
it
always
is.
murder.
Well,
No.
there's-
Murder does not require malice
there's the
of intent.
distinction.
Actually, it does.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
is a
But the law
distinction
recognizes
between-
that. You can kill
No,
someone.
there's degrees of murder that recognizes malicious intent, but
I
it's all
think you
murder.
could say.
No, it's not.
Yes,
to what
it
he's
is.
talking about, I think you could say there is a difference. There's a distinction between. You can make a distinction between killing and murder.
Killing in self-defense or defense of others.
Well, no, in the sense
Right.
that, I mean, yes, but in the sense also that we wouldn't necessarily always use these terms interchangeably, right? Like if I kill an animal to eat it for nutrition, it wasn't because of malice. It wasn't because I had hatred or, you know, I wasn't trying to murder the chicken. It's like I took the chicken's life to give myself, you know.
I agree
like,
that it's not bad.
I killed the chicken. So, you know, I understand what you're saying. You're making that distinction. However, you are still saying that you would kill women.
I wouldn't personally.
I mean, who would kill them?
So
tell someone
if
else
you
to do
take
the work.
if you take the life of someone unjustly, and it's proven that you had malice and forethought, then you should be punished. You should be put to death. How is that murder?
But you're saying you should be punished.
You're the one that supports baby murder, sir.
But you're saying people should be punished, but we don't.
For committing crimes,
we don't,
right?
We don't. But however, we don't. We don't have the death sentence for every murder.
And that's true, and that's not justice. We should.
We should.
And so even those laws are we have.
That's what I mean. His ideas aren't based on anything except the Bible.
Well, to be fair.
Actually, I've given you stuff outside the Bible, but you reject it all because it doesn't align with your worldview.
Because it comes from the Bible.
Well, yeah, because morals come from the Bible. We don't have morals outside the Bible.
Well, you see what I'm saying?
Well, to be fair,
and you are suggesting that we entertain this and that we are.
You're free to walk away.
We have this.
Anytime. You don't have to entertain it.
I'm not upset that I'm here talking to you. I am choosing to be here.
I was more making a point to just not shutting out their brain and just being like, not just labeling, just like.
But when you give these people ears to listen, you are reinforcing this idea that they deserve to be listened and that their opinions are valid, and they're not.
So why are you talking?
I would say.
No, you suggest murdering women in the womb.
With Nicholas right now, do you think that this makes Nicholas feel like his opinion is, valid? Like, because you're disagreeing with him. Your discussion is not listening to Nicholas and you're disagreeing.
My only qualm is that I'm still here. This is me indulging in myself by choosing to argue with him because it makes me feel good, right? But I understand that the best thing I should do is just walk away and go on.
Well, you're free to.
It's pretty fun. I know. It's okay. I know you want me to leave because I've been annoying you these past hours. But
who says you annoyed me? I'm just pointing out your inconsistencies. You're very inconsistent.
Keep telling me to leave.
No, I'm saying you're welcome to leave. I'm not making you stay.
That's a suggestion.
Like I was saying.
You said, well, I'm not. Why I don't need to entertain this? Well, you're free to walk away.
But I'm choosing to.
Yeah.
So we're done, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I was saying, I'm Catholic. I think that he is misrepresenting some of the things of the Bible. In that sense, it's particularly just about putting anyone to death that's taken another life. I don't think that is justice. I don't think that that's.
So you disagree with the death penalty in all cases?
I disagree with the death penalty. Well, honestly, I think when you look at, I would say not. I think that when you look at the death penalty, that's a complicated thing.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't agree with the death penalty in the sense that because of my belief.
Oh, I'm cool. Might I ask what's on the back?
Back of this one? Read the whole thing before you judge it. Read the whole thing. You got to read the whole thing before you get in context.
Could you please explain it to me?
It's basically the same thing that people said in the days of chattel slavery we're saying today about babies in the womb. Plantation owners would say, my property, my prerogative, my body, my choice. Don't like slavery, don't own a slave, don't buy a slave. Don't like abortion, don't get one.
Firstly, that's a logical fallacy. Second, you're saying the same thing. You're saying that you have the ability to decide how a woman deals with her body.
And you're saying
have far more in common with that man than any, or I don't know how y'all think about
so,
than abortion, pro-abortion.
I'm not the one standing for murder. You're supporting murder.
You just said yes, we should kill women if they have an abortion.
If they murder their baby, they should be punished. Well, once it's criminalized.
With how are they going to be punished?
Biblically, it should be once it's determined. Already answered that one.
What should happen to them?
Already answered that.
Well,
tell them they haven't been here.
Do they want to know? You have to know the context.
I was curious. You've been out here for a minute.
For a while,
like a long time.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious as to what your
goal.
conviction is like what brings you to stand out and like talk for a while, you know?
Well, because I love people. I care about their souls, and people need the gospel. They need Jesus Christ, and so in order to give them the gospel, you got to go to them.
And you're like anti-LGBTQ as well.
Anti-sin.
Anti-sin, I understand.
Yeah.
Do you think all sin is equal? Do you think
No,
like
no.
it's not all sin is
No, the Bible says differently, actually. Yeah. But the Bible says that the fear of the Lord is to hate evil. So I hate evil. I love people enough to tell them the truth and tell them the gospel, even when they don't want to hear it. And so that, because that's what Christians are to do. They are to speak truth to people, to tell them the gospel, tell them how to go to heaven. Because I want people to join me in heaven. And how, and to take free advantage of the freedom that we have to do that, to speak to people freely. And because they're not going to hear it, unless a Christian goes to them, right? And we live in a culture like this college campus that people hate truth, they hate God. They've made that abundantly clear.
Take to a college campus, talk about hating truth.
What's that?
Came to a college campus, talk about hating truth.
Yeah, people hate truth. You hate truth. You've rejected it. And Jesus Christ is the truth. That's what Jesus Christ said. He said, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father but by me.
You're Christian?
Yes, I haven't always been.
What like branch specifically? Baptist? Like
Bible believing Christian. Yeah.
You grew up like that?
No, not at all.
What'd you grow up with?
Around Hollywood, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And I believed in God, but that was about it as far as that. What's that?
So not a lot of structure for real?
Not really. I mean, I went to public school, but
What gravitated you towards Christianity specifically? So I don't know, deeply.
And that's a good question. Maybe one of the best questions I've heard today. Basically, God saved me about the time I graduated high school, maybe right after, and just got a hold of me. I was convicted of my sins, and I took all my rock cities, rock posters, video games, Hollywood movies, threw it all in the trash. Picked up my Bible, started reading it really for the first time.
How did God go about telling you that you got to change?
That I don't really recall the details of the process. It was quite a while ago, but just he started convicting me.
That's how old you are?
38, and now I had gone to churches at that time for the first time, and I was around Christians, so that may have influenced me. I don't really, because I was around people that didn't curse. I'd always been around people who cursed, and people had respect for God, and so it just the Lord was working in me, and I started praying over my meals for the first time. I'd never done that before, and I started caring about the music I was listening to. It's like, this doesn't honor God. Throw the CD in the trash, throw it out the window, and I started to talk to people about God. And even to the point where my brother and I worked in the same factory, he said, all you ever do is talk about God. Like, I'm a Christian. Why would I talk to people about God? I care about him. My brother wasn't a Christian at all, still isn't one today.
So I assume you do go to church?
Yeah, and part of the church.
You're part of the church?
Yeah, and I'm a traveling street preacher, so I kind of move around a lot, but yeah, part of the church, and
the portion is
how do you fund this? Sorry, I mean
God provides. Well, what's question?
Abortion's that's your biggest no now.
It means God provides.
Thing that you're against?
Well, against sin, and proclaiming the gospel in a culture that loves sin, that hates God, and the Bible talks about a lot of sin. The two sins that brings God's judgment on a nation, on a people, are child sacrifice and sodomy. God rained down fire and brimstone on Sodom and Gomorrah. And God, it says, I think it's 2 Peter, says that when God did that, destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, he made them an example to those who would live ungodly lives thereafter. And this is modern day Sodom and Gomorrah.
I'm not particularly religious. I don't know. I don't want to say I'm anti-religion, but I guess.
Don't worry, I grew up that way. Don't worry.
What?
I grew up that way. No worries.
But my thing with abortion though is like, I think it's murder for sure, but I just went into that cafeteria and committed murder. I ate pigs, like I'm eating this food, and really, the food that I eat is more sentient and more conscious than a fetus. They literally have no, like, they're not conscious, they're not sentient being. Half the time it's just a gathering of cells, like they can't form any conscious thought. You don't think twice before you eat a burger. You know, and I get it, it's different from a human versus a cow, but
You know why it's different?
I bet you a cow knows a lot more than a fetus. Like
Feels a lot more too.
Feels a
Way
lot
more
more.
pain receptors, way more emotional receptors in the brain.
Like
Well,
a
the
lot more
difference is
conscious.
we're made in God's image. Animals are not. And I'd say that as an animal lover. We're made in God's image.
So I guess that's where my disconnect is.
Mhm.
I don't really connect so heavily to the religious part.
But that is the difference. In this culture, we love animals and we murder babies in the womb. And people they'll murder people outside the womb. You know, shootings, school shootings, mass shootings. They don't just stop at people in the womb. Murder the elderly, and it goes down to when you reject God, say there is no God, or okay, there is a God, but we don't care. You make it up as you go. We didn't get into this. I talked to Jaden about it earlier, but I asked him. Do you know who the father of modern day Satanism is? Aleister Crowley. Aleister Crowley. Aleister Crowley. He actually grew up, had a strict preacher for a father, but his father died. Well, yeah, he grew up in a Christian household, and he went astray, and became the father of modern day Satanism, Aleister Crowley, and he became known as the great B666. Aleister Crowley, what his main saying was, "Do what thou wilt, shall be the whole of the law." Basically, do what you want to do. John Lennon of the Beatles said that, do what you want to do, as long as you don't hurt anybody. Led Zeppelin said that, and Jim Morrison, the Doors, said that. And that's what we're doing today in America. We're doing what we want to do. We're doing what the father of modern days.
Free will. Do what you want
For a will, but not. No, he says, not what we do, not my will, but yours be done, as Jesus said in the Garden of Gethsemane. Jesus said, "Deny yourself, take up your cross daily, and follow me."
So don't do what you
Don't do what you want to do, because what you want to do outside of Jesus Christ is.
So he's not encouraging free will.
No, you can have people have free will, but you tell them don't sin. Sin has consequences. No, it's free will. You have.
Political views. I'm sorry for interrupting.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Are you conservative, liberal?
I vote for men who fear God.
So.
Christian.
All right.
Haven't they all been Christian?
No, they claim to be Christian, but no, most of them are
How
not.
do you feel about Donald Trump?
He's a wicked, baby-killing, sodomite approving fool.
Who would you like to vote for this?
Someone who's out to write someone in, because they're all wicked people, all of them. Well, all of them that are getting any, like the popular ones, are all wicked.
Are the cameras for your protection? I'm assuming?
Partly.
Are you armed?
With this
Can't have guns on
Bible.
I don't know how you
There'd be a lot more issues.
This is my sword. This is the sword of the spirit in my hand right here.
You got a YouTube channel. You showed it to me.
and like it
Is it doing very well?
What's that?
Your YouTube channel, is it doing very well?
I don't think
It depends on what you mean by that.
Like, are you producing any income off of it or anything?
No, I don't want to.
You just want to inform?
Educate people, encourage other Christians to do what I'm doing, or
Can you
likewise.
flip the thing again?
Yeah.
Does the other one have something on the back?
Nope.
All right.
Just
can
a light.
you just explain to me one more time before I give my opinion?
Okay.
Just to make sure I have it.
And I appreciate that.
All right. So
Okay, so
everybody was into slavery back in the day, right? People were
most people either were for it or they didn't care, like today, with child sacrifice. Okay, I'm answering his question. So the slave owners said, "My property, my prerogative." Today we say, "My body, my choice." They said, "Don't like a slave, don't like slavery, don't buy a slave."
So slave owner having a slave is the equivalent of a woman getting an abortion.
I'm not saying it's the exact same thing, but that was the injustice then. This is our injustice now. We have the same.
Can I attempt to explain what I think your poster is talking about?
Have you read the whole thing?
I have.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
What I think your poster is conveying, or attempting to convey, you can correct me if I'm misrepresenting it.
Mm-hmm.
What I think it is attempting to convey is, culturally, there have been things that are wrong, morally wrong. evil. That were seen as justifiable or not wrong, right? Like we're saying, everybody was in slavery. That didn't change the fact that it was wrong. Just because it was condoned, just because people enjoyed it, whatever.
Legal.
Just because it was legal and condoned, it didn't make it morally correct or right. I think the example being the same thing. Just because it's condoned, it's still morally wrong, right? Like I think that's the comparison it's making. Just because something is,
legal,
seen as legal or accepted doesn't make it right. It's still inherently wrong. That is, I think,
that's part of it. And to add to that, everything Hitler did in Nazi Germany was also legal. That's actually what Martin Luther King Jr. said. Never forget that everything Hitler did in Nazi Germany was legal. And most people did nothing about it.
Well, sure, I think that's the same point.
And so
something being legal, whether things being legal make them right or not.
Well, so yeah, some people would say yes, and it's like, well,
there can agree that laws don't decide morality.
Yeah. I think that's the point of the poster.
You often have.
Laws don't decide morality.
Well, that's not the point of his poster. He agrees that law doesn't define morality for his own reasons, but the point of the poster is a comparison. He is saying that a woman trying to take control of her body is equivalent to, he's doing equivalency because they are right here. They're the same size, they're taking the same amount of space on the paper. In fact, there's more to suggest that the focus of this is on the slavery part, that he is clearly trying to equate these things. And do you believe that people who are, do you believe that slave owners should have been killed or should have been put to death after due trial?
Well, the Bible says that manstealers should be put to death.
Actually, the Bible tells you how to treat your slaves, doesn't it? That chapter?
Actually,
it says you can whip them.
In chattel slavery.
To be fair,
it's okay if they survive for
the Bible's
you support that, my man?
The Bible's view or description of slavery is a very different slavery.
Very different. You're right.
True.
Very right.
Because American slavery was particularly evil and different than other kinds of slavery.
It's not
very, very correct.
Slavery that we're talking about, not American
because
slavery.
if you could be born into it, and it wasn't, you never got out of it, right? You were born into it. Children were slaves. It was particularly evil because of how it was different.
Like right here.
I agree with you. I just want to note that it isn't that's the characteristic of chattel slavery, not American slavery, because chattel slavery existed up and down the Americas, right? And it existed in the islands surrounding. It existed in Africa. I mean, one of the first things we did when we got there was start enslaving people, not to bring them to America, but to use their resources there. And that is chattel slavery, which is why. Well, that's not chattel slavery. Either way, the point I'm just trying to make is that chattel slavery is the unique evil rather than American slavery. But what do you say when the Bible gives you instructions on how to treat your slave?
I mean, servants, bond servants? Because that's how the Bible portrays slavery.
It tells you to whip somebody, how hard to do it, when not to do it.
Okay, where does it say that?
You pull it up? Oh, he's going to say that. I don't know. All right,
I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I think the comparison to slavery is extraordinarily out of pocket.
Is extraordinarily what?
Extraordinarily out of pocket. Could you please flip it over again?
Yeah. I just caution people,
to.
He's
not here to spread love and good faith. He's trying to make people upset.
You've been very loving yourself.
Extraordinarily out of pocket, comparing the death of
I live in here.
unconscious gatherings of cells compared to the rape and murder and enslavement of an entire race. The entire world profited off of this. Not just America. The entire world profited off that.
And we profit off the murder of babies in this country and the world too.
Okay, but I'm saying I don't think it's a fair comparison at all.
Yeah, you're right, because in slavery, people didn't always die. In this case, people almost always die in the womb when they're murdered. And the Supreme Court actually once said that the slave is about 3/5 of a person, not even a full person. What they said about black people outside the womb is what we say about babies in the womb today. Except we say they're not even human beings at all, or they're potential human beings. So we dehumanized black people outside the womb for years. now we're doing the same thing to babies in the womb, and we're too blinded to see it. The reason that this went on for so long is because of the same reason that this goes on today in America, because it's accepted. It's, we've normalized it, and one day future generations will see this evil for what it is. Like today we see chattel slavery as evil. They didn't see it back then. They thought it was okay. They thought it was okay.
I'm gonna be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't even know how I should go about telling you how I think that's incredibly out of pocket. I don't know. I don't think I could change your mind on that. But like, just know, like, if you were on this street, on this campus, like, it probably wouldn't end well walking around with that. That's why I asked if you were armed, because I assumed if you wanted to carry around something that refers to slavery that you were armed.
Why would I need to be armed? I mean, with a gun, I got God's word.
I guess so, but I mean, like, you're gonna get your ass beat one day.
It's already happened.
Yeah.
I've already been beat up.
It didn't feel good, did it?
The TPUSA guy.
I don't know. I had a concussion. I don't really have a memory of it.
Do you think it was worth it?
Yeah. It's worth preaching the gospel. People get beat up for preaching the gospel. I've been punched multiple times.
It's still early.
It happened because people hate God. They don't want to hear truth.
That's dumb as fuck.
They say we're tolerant, but then they.
Because you are an asshole.
No, they hate God.
You're coming here to try to just spread hate. You're telling people to hate other people.
When did I ever say that? I actually put words in my mouth. No, I never said hate at people.
So that's what's incredible about language, is that you don't have to say it out of your mouth to communicate an idea, right?
Well, you're putting words in my mouth that I never said.
Communicate ideas.
No, it's.
I didn't say you said you were spreading. I didn't say you said anything. I said
actually,
you are spreading.
You did.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
I didn't say you said anything.
You did.
Use your ears.
Yeah, I'm listening to you, and you're very inconsistent, and
I'm consistent.
you've been hateful yourself.
He already said I wasn't consistent. He's not even consistent.
I'm not gonna lie, like, I'm not really super duper mad or nothing.
Yeah.
I just feel like the comparison to slavery is super duper out of pocket, and if we're in if it was a different day, a different area, like, we aren't gonna be having a conversation, like, and you're not wearing that camera, like, we wouldn't be talking, like, I'm trying to tell you, specifically to me, and I know a lot of other people of my color that would agree, that the comparison to slavery is crazy, and it would be on site.
There's a reason he has that one on the back.
I'm saying, like, yeah, and that's why I asked if you were armed, because I assumed there's no way you would come here unarmed, bro. Like, you're treading on real thin ice.
Well,
really thin ice, bro.
People need to have their ideas changed. How do you think that this culture that was all for slavery, just about, changed? Because Christians
First of all, that's a lie.
gave them the gospel.
People weren't all for slavery.
Most of them, they were for it or they didn't care.
That's not true.
Almost all of them.
That's not true.
Okay, well, you don't have to believe it.
It's not true.
Are
you going to tell a fucking college, are you going to tell students of a college what happened in history?
Well, if they don't know history,
Quarter of the time studying history that half of these people have. You have no fucking idea what you're talking about, dude.
And that's coming from someone who doesn't believe in God. Who
present you some other idea, you can be like, well, God says this, but you're not actually saying anything. You don't actually know anything.
You just don't agree with it. There's one thing between saying I'm not saying anything, and actually just disagreeing with it. It's like you're very arrogant, very arrogant.
Yes.
You're you think you know it all.
You are putting on me, I don't care.
Okay, well
You are wasting your own breath saying it.
Because I care enough about you to tell you the truth, and I love you all, because I want you to join me in heaven.
I really respect your conviction. I respect that you out here standing on business, but I do want to let you know that, like, if I were to see you in a different area and that wasn't as professional as this,
Sorry, my bad.
and you had something like that about slavery, it wouldn't be this calm conversation.